All right, good evening, folks. It is now 10:13 p.m. Eastern Time on this final day of January 2011. And yes, look at the colors on that map. It is easy to tell that something big is going on in the United States east of the Rockies. Depending on the onset of your precipitation, you are either under a winter storm watch, warning, blizzard watch, or blizzard warning. Those stretching here from Maine right down through the southern plains and then back up through the central and northern plains. This blue shading wind chill warnings for wind chill factors expected to be -20 to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Certainly a life-threatening situation if you happen to become stranded on the side of the road. So travel definitely not suggested during the event or even after the event, as cold temperatures will linger. That snow, freezing rain, and sleet will stick around for some time, and DOT crews across all of these states are going to have a hard time, definitely a hard time, keeping up with the heavy precipitation rates that are expected from this storm. I know you may say these areas get snowstorms. What's the big deal? This storm is a step up, folks. So we're going to head and start off with the national radar. Despite us not being in the main part of this event, we note on the national mosaic some precipitation already in progress across the Midwest, the upper and central plains, some of this in rain, some of it in the form of snow and freezing rain. We can take a look at that on the surface observations here across Nebraska and Kansas, light snow falling, and then Missouri. Look at that, some light freezing rain going on already. And then we drift a little bit further east, light snow in progress in Illinois and Indiana with some light freezing rain mixed in there as well, and then some light scattered rain showers to the south of that. I did take a look at local storm reports here on the border of Missouri and Illinois, and we already have reports of ice accumulation on sidewalks, trees, and power lines upwards of 1/4 of an inch, and even a few reports nearing 4/10 of an inch of ice accumulation already. We're not even in the main part of this event, and we're already realizing notable ice accumulations. This zone right through here is going to get hammered with snow, sleet, and freezing rain, and I expect those maximum snow totals to be up here across central northern Illinois and Indiana. We can take a look at that on the large scale, the projected snow accumulations. I think this is a very good depiction of what is to be expected. A large swath of not only accumulating, but significant accumulations of 8+ inch, and then a nice strip of 1 foot+ from northeastern Oklahoma right through Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, and then once again maxing snow totals here in New England. It is going to be a widespread significant storm. You'll note here on the southern tail of this quick tapering off in snow totals. This is where we expect some sleet and freezing rain to occur, and as a result, the snow totals will be less. Nonetheless, these areas are under a winter storm warning for that sleet and freezing rain. It is not until the end of the event that we see a switch over to all snow, and then we get some light accumulations on top of that freezing rain and sleet that will have already fallen. Taking a little bit closer look as far as detail goes here, you can see that across northeastern Oklahoma, 12-18 inches possible in that nice heavy strip. If you follow that 700 millibar low and the track of the precip near that on the northwestern side, that is why we are realizing that heavy swath of snow here stretching from Oklahoma right up through the Great Lakes and then continuing up into the northeast. And once again, right on this border, that significant accumulation of sleet and freezing rain will bring definite power troubles, as power lines will be coming down in areas along with trees. So hopefully everyone is ready on the home and state level for possible long duration power outages as being noted by the National Weather Service. I have to echo everything they've said about this being a significant, widespread, crippling, and even potentially life-threatening situation depending on whatever you get yourself caught in. So any of the snow intercepts going on, I see a lot of people moving around on Spotter Network. Hopefully you guys stay safe out there, and I wish you a lot of luck with this storm. Certainly going to be a fun one to be in, but not a fun one to be stuck in. Taking a look at the snow totals, zooming in on a regional scale, yes, we are going to be realizing snow accumulations down into Texas, where we also have warnings in effect. And look at that nice strip in Oklahoma and going up into the northeast of heavy snow accumulation. And we take that a little bit north here across Nebraska and Kansas, also realizing some snow accumulation. And then look at this one coming up a nice stretch of heavy snowfall going from Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. And this area here is going to have heavy precipitation rates. We're talking upwards of 3 inches of snow per hour as that low nearly maximizes in intensity here southeast of Chicago, not only creating that heavy snow rate, but also driving strong winds. We're talking low wind chills, blowing and drifting of snow, and the whiteout conditions. And once again, this little tapering here is where we expect that transition to sleet and freezing rain. And we can take a look at that here on the GFS model, or rather, yes, this is the NAM model rather. We can step this forward. I'll have to start it over from the beginning here. But you'll see here in Texas, we start getting that low developing. There it goes, taking shape. And then it quickly develops as it heads into the western part of Tennessee. And right in this border region is where we expect that transition into sleet and freezing rain. And look at that cold air mass coming in behind it with a strong high pressure. We expect whatever the falls to linger. And hopefully the DOT crews will have a little bit of time to catch up with whatever remains on the roads, and power crews to get those power lines back up and operating. It is that freezing rain that we are definitely concerned about. And taking a look at some forecast soundings in that border region, you'll notice the surface temps are at or below freezing, but it is what is going on upstairs above the surface that has our concern. You'll notice that little warm layer there, and I'm going by the rule of 4 degrees C. We're reaching 39 to 49 degrees Fahrenheit in this zone across a deep enough layer to realize some melting of snowflakes that will either refreeze as sleet or freezing rain at the surface. That continues as we head northeast into southern Illinois. We realize that same thing going on, a nice warm layer relative to the surface going on, and that translates into sleet and freezing rain at the surface. The same thing for southern Ohio, another warm layer. And this is all going on during the onset and the main duration of the precipitation. And then once that colder air mass moves in, we will have that transition to all snow with some snow accumulation on top of that sleet and freezing rain. Now, on top of all of that being said, we have to deal with the wind. So I'm going to start the NAM over. And if you remember those surface maps from the first segment, you will remember those 20 to 25 mile per hour winds steady with gusts in the 30s across the Central Plains. So the NAM has initialized pretty well. And we're going to step that forward in time as our low takes shape there in Texas. We realize that expanding wind field there of about 20 miles per hour. And then as that low deepens, look at that wind field expanding, the winds increasing to 20 to 30 across the Great Lakes region. And then, of course, along the immediate lakefront where you get those winds blowing right off of the lake, we could have some gusts into the 30s and 40s right along the immediate lakefront. So we're talking that blowing and drifting snow, whiteout conditions, and low wind chills. And that wind field continues to move on with the low off toward the northeast. And then we have that high settling in with very cold temperatures. So taking a look at the water vapor, look at it, there it goes. That feature right there in the southern Rockies is about to move into the Texas region. You can see that little bit of thunderstorm activity going on in North Texas where we had a slight risk ongoing. And as that moves into Texas, we get that surface reflection going on with that low quickly developing and then tracking across the interior Gulf states right up through western Tennessee, through Kentucky, and then up into the northeast. And right on the northwestern side of that is where we're going to have that wraparound moisture. And the precipitation with this is just amazing. We have a large swath of equivalent of 1 inch plus of rain. So we're going to have a lot of Gulf I didn't show it in this particular presentation, but a lot of Gulf moisture moving north and then wrapping around the backside. So a lot of heavy precipitation. Now the GFS deepened the low a little bit more today. Yesterday in western Tennessee, it had it at 997 millibars. This afternoon, it was forecasting a 993 millibar low, and that deepens a little bit more, but holding steady as it moves into the Ohio Valley. And it is then that we will realize those heavy precipitation rates across Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. I think these areas are going to see the worst of the storm, but also comparable to the conditions that will exist back southwest through the remainder of Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and then once again in the northeast. And then we also have that cold air settling in behind it. So this is going to be a widespread, significant storm. Stay safe out there.